So, Shonali, we are so excited to have you coming to Alaska to talk to the PRSA chapter in Anchorage and Fairbanks. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful trip while you're here. And people are so looking forward to hearing what you have to say about planning and measurement. I was hoping that maybe you could tell us like 3 or 4 things you're hoping that people will be able to take away from your talk.
Okay, well, first of all, thank you guys for having me out there. I can't tell you how excited I am. And I very much hope I get to see some moose when I get there. As far as planning and measurement goes, I think as you know, those of us who've worked in this business for a while, the principles of good planning don't change. There's a lot of talk now about with social media having become so big, and it's really interesting to see how that conversation has evolved over the last few years. With social media having become so important, how do you incorporate that into your plan? How does PR and communication planning change? How do you measure it? So number one, good strategy doesn't change. You still have to start out with outcomes in mind, with goals in mind, with measurable objectives in mind. And then you've got to think of your communications as an overall strategy, not a bit by bit by bit kind of thing. What problem are you trying to solve for your business by using communication? And how are you contributing to the benefit of your business or organization? And that applies equally for for-profit organizations or non-profit organizations, because everyone has a bottom line. If you don't want to sell widgets, you want to get money, you want membership, you want something that will enable the business to keep functioning. So good strategy hasn't changed. Good strategic thinking certainly hasn't changed. How you incorporate social media into your plan is really about looking at your overall goals and objectives and figuring out what is going to work for what you need your target audience to do, what behaviors you need them to take to get the desired outcomes that you have. So those are kinds of the 3 really big things I think that bear reinforcement, and that's what I talk and teach about a lot, because I think people are forgetting that. And fourthly, good measurement is not about add value equivalency, which unfortunately I think far too many people are still focusing on. How do you put in place smart measurement for your plan or your program, even if you're on a budget? Because there are ways to do it. How do you really correlate your outputs and your outcomes? And if you get into the social media sphere, and that becomes a big aspect of your program, then how are you measuring that? So those are all the things I hope to talk about.
That'll be absolutely wonderful, and I'm hoping that you'll also be able to tell us how we can convince our clients or our bosses that advertising equivalents are not the way to go also, because I think that we fall back on that all the time when people tell us, well, but you didn't get me on the news, or you didn't get me in the newspaper. So
yeah,
I think that it's crutch.
Tough. It's tough. I've been there, and I've also been very lucky in clients now, as well as in some of the places I've worked, where I was able to get in early enough before my management had been corrupted, as it were, by add value equivalency. So I didn't have to do any kind of de-education and then re-education. But it's tough. So yeah, we'll definitely talk about ways to start doing that, because I think that's critical, that we stop focusing so much just on numbers, because numbers by themselves don't mean anything. What are those numbers actually doing for you? What are they doing for your company or for your client or for your organization? What are they doing in terms of actually motivating your publics? Because that's why we do public relations, in terms of actually motivating your publics to take the actions that you want them to take. And how are you measuring that? Because that is the actual outcome that you should be focusing on, rather than a shady dollars and cents, quote unquote, value to your work.
Great. So now, before I turn off the recording, I said, what else do you want to see besides a moose while you're here?
Well, I'd love to see the Aurora Borealis, but that's not going to happen. So
no, that's not going to happen in the summertime.
I'm just going to have to come back
for that.
Time. I know. I'm so excited to see you in person and meet up with so many folks that I've connected with over Twitter. I'm really, really looking forward to it. So thank you again for bringing me out there. I can't wait.
Great. We'll see you soon.
Okay.